Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Good morning. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where's the microphone at, Jim?
I don't see the dog.
I just saw Nelson right here.
He was somewhere. Where'd he go?
Where'd he go?
The dog has the body.
I don't know.
Well, I guess we can wait till he comes back. We'll wait till he comes back.
We'll wait till he comes back. We're going to have to wait on the dog commercial. Welcome to the August 9th, 2007 Board of Commissioners meeting. Our quote for today is from John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I kind of liked it. My experience in government is that when things are non-controversial and beautifully coordinated, there's not much going on. Madam Clerk?
Today at 10 o'clock, we're going to have Judge Baczynski, Domestic Relations regarding Family Court, as well as Judge Burroughs and Judge Berta will be here. At 11 o'clock is our Investment Advisory meeting in Meeting Room A. And then Mr. Paul Kakucha, Small Business Development Coordinator, is here to be introduced and give a small presentation.
And Commissioner Blair is out ill today, so it's the Lori and Ted show.
He just has to change it back over.
Pardon? I'll take over for Betty.
Wait a minute.
Paul, can we take 1 second here? The dog's back. We were looking for you, Nelson. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
They're saying it's a female beagle mix. How old would you say? Like 2 years old? Pretty nervous right now. Camera shy. We have a lot of dogs at the dog kennel.
It's not working.
It's not working?
Is it working now?
No.
I'll yell.
You'll yell?
I'll
Okay.
yell. For those of you that don't want to travel to our dog kennel located on Hanaway Street, I just want to remind everybody that we do have a website. Just look up the Lorain County Dog Kennel and click on Dogs to Adopt, and there's pictures of all the dogs that we have available at the kennel. So, and should my
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
You're on, Paul.
Thank you. I want to say first that I was pleased and excited to accept the position as Director of the Lorain County Small Business Development Center because of my enthusiasm for the county, but also because of my respect for the quality resources that you all have assembled for economic development here. I'm talking about the Lorain County Partnership, about GLIDE, Team Lorain County, LC3, the Workforce Institute, the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce, which is actually the sponsor of our organization, and the other entities that make up the partnership. Before I came to the Development Center, I worked for a Fortune 500 company, for several venture capital funded high-tech startups. I worked as an attorney, and I spent almost 20 years with the United States Small Business Administration. At the SBA, I was involved directly in the delivery of almost every product and service at the agency. That includes minority small business development, government procurement, business development, and the entire range of financial products that the SBA offers, including the venture-backed products and every aspect of the delivery from loan inception through collection on the loans. My successes in those previous positions came about because I was careful to assess not only the challenge, but the tools available in the job to attack those challenges. And that's what it made accepting the job here at Lorain County so easy. The foresight you've all shown in assembling the people and the entities that make up the Lorain County Partnership and the economic and community development agencies of this county. Now, to refresh, the Lorain County Small Business Development Corporation provides an important bundle of services to new and existing businesses. For existing businesses, we provide business audits to help them assess the challenges and the opportunities before them. We are involved in helping with succession planning, international trade, government procurement, web-based marketing, and business financing in general. For new businesses, we're involved in business plan assistance, marketing research, loan proposal assistance, general business startup assistance, and then again in business financing. Plus, we offer workshops and seminars on all these different topics. Today's my 44th day on this job, and I just want to describe a little bit some of the clients that I've been working with. I've been working with a long-time Lorain service provider who is looking to expand their business and open up a second site. I've been working with an employer who is involved in, a manufacturer who's involved in other products, helping them produce a new line of architectural products. I'm involved in a startup sports center for Western Lorain. I'm involved in a well-known food service provider that is changing hands. I'm involved with a person who has invented a physical fitness, physical therapy device and would like to manufacture and nationally distribute this device from right here in Lorain County. And I'm involved in helping one client who's a farmer who's started a catering business and found now she has to make a choice between being a farmer and being a catering business. These 6 clients alone account for the preservation or creation of about 30 full-time equivalent jobs. I wanted to work on this presentation in a little more detail yesterday, but I couldn't because so many people came in to see me. I spoke with a cleaning company that had been in existence here in the county for a couple of years, and they're interested in expansion into other areas besides cleaning and maintenance. I talked with a mason who was interested in setting up a masonry contracting company. I talked with a young couple who were interested in starting up a Chinese bistro, similar to, the way they described it was a Panera without the bakery with Chinese food. And I also talked with a fellow who was taking a buyout at Ford and wanted to start up a business as a chemical courier, taking chemicals from one business to another. And that's all in a single day. That's potentially 8 or 10 more full-time equivalent positions. And today, when I get done speaking, I'm going to leave because there's yet another new client who's heavily involved in international trade, who as a result of some reverses in the international market is in a difficult position. I think we can help him at the center. I think we can help him save the 10 jobs he has, and because of the opportunities before him, help him find as many as 4 additional positions, and these are machinist positions, these are family supporting jobs. So we're talking another 10 to 14 full-time equivalent positions. If you look at the fact that I've been on this job for 44 days, that's an eighth of a year, and this is the slowest time of the year for economic development, and you take the numbers that I've just described, by the end of this year alone, this Small Business Development Center may be involved in the preservation or creation of nearly 500 full-time equivalent jobs. Now, if we did that in one fell swoop, it'd be cause for a celebration, cause for a press conference, similar to the thing we had yesterday. But you don't notice it so much at the Small Business Development Center because it happens in small bites and it happens continuously throughout the year. So I guess at this point I just want to say if you or anyone you know has a new or existing business could use a little help, a little consultation, a little analysis, certainly help with business finance, I hope you'll have them contact me either at my phone number 328-2324 or at the web address pkukuca@loraincountychamber.org, and we'll see what we can do for them.
Wonderful job, Paul. Any questions, Commissioner? Comments?
No fee for service if a company comes to you, or is there?
No, there's no fee. We're paid for by the Small Business Administration, the Ohio Department of Development, and the County of Lorain, and the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. From all those people.
Well, that's our collaboration that you entered into with the Chamber last year. This is unique. It's another one of our original relationships through the Lorain County Growth Partnership. Paul is actually our employee in conjunction with leadership from the Community Development Department and the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. So the center is located on your 5th floor up with the Growth Partnership here in the admin building. So nobody else is doing it like this, and I see Mr. Titilio back there. We had a chance to collaborate on this through the partnership last year, and the commissioners took a chance. I mean, you've invested some resources into this. We don't get full recovery from the state. We've tried to maximize that. They want you to run a center, they want to support you, but they don't want to give you enough money to do so.
Imagine that. Someone wants us to do something that's in any money.
Well, that's the reason I'm saying, if Paul had good news this morning on the amount of jobs that he's working on, it's just another one of those things that we're doing that we have to put resources into to create opportunities for the people here in Lorain County. We've taken a little bit of a beating over some of those things over the last few weeks, but you can see that we're producing results, and your investments are well-founded.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. I remember when I started my own business, I don't know, almost 12 years ago, and I went to a gentleman named Dennis Jones at the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce Small Business Development Center, so I'm very familiar with the services you offer.
Well, great. Well, thank you, and thank you again for the opportunity to present and the opportunity to preserve the people, or serve the people of Lorain County. Excuse me? Yes, of course. Okay. Anyway, I have a client to see.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Go back to work. Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
There are no investments, appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez?
I have two brief employment issues, hire issues at the Golden Acres County home. So I would request an executive session at the conclusion of our regular board meeting to discuss those two, which is permitted under the Sunshine Law. Thank you.
Approve and enter into renewal agreement with John L. Goodman, attorney at law, for workers' compensation in the amount of $1,900 to be paid from the professional services account. This is effective September 15, 2007 through September 19, 2009, with a 30-day written cancellation clause.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
He's asking for an increase. It's 1,900 now. What was it in the previous years?
My recollection is that we were paying about $1,800 before. I didn't really go back and look. I know that we've had a lot of court activity. We're aggressively going after a lot of workers' comp cases, and that takes a lot of time through the court system. I didn't think it was an inappropriate fee to be paying, even all in. We're talking about, I think, about $23,000 a year. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's the human calculator.
Yeah. How many square footage is there, Ted? But Mr. Goodman's been with us since 1992, so he's been with us a long time.
He's tenured.
Well, I wouldn't say tenured, but he has archival history
Yeah, I know.
of workers' comp here in
John
Lorain
does a
County.
good job for
Yes, he
us.
does.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Authorize payment in the amount of $1,000 to Dovin Funeral Home, Lorain, for services rendered in connection with indigent veteran John J. Salvic in accordance with ORC 5901.26.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under Community Development Department, Amendment Resolution 07296 adopted April 26, 2007, awarding a contract to Bax Roofing Construction Plymouth in the amount of $23,000 on behalf of Carl Watt and Brandon Watt at 12377 National Drive, Grafton. Amendment is to reflect the correct account should be down payment private owner rehab, NAT account fiscal 05 CHIP home private owner rehab.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Instruct the clerk to advertise for bids for the ADA restroom additions, East Carlisle Building, published in the Journal on August 13th and 20th, mandatory pre-bid at 8:30 on August 27th, and bid opening September 4th at 2 p.m. in Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Golden Acres, approve and enter an agreement with Community Health Partners Regional Medical Center, Lorain, to provide wound care services using clinical pathways for the treatment to chronic non-healing wounds to allow facility to more efficiently and effectively provide wound care services to residents of the facility. This is effective August 9, 2007 through August 8, 2008 with a third-day written cancellation clause.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr.
I just
Kayla?
want to commend Jerry Dahl. She's always looking at ways to make our home better over there and save money and make it better for our residents. I just want to give her some kudos.
Well, the county home is doing good, and it looks like it's going to be a very fine year. We should probably end the year with, after we finish our union contract and a couple other things, I'm hoping for about $600,000 to $700,000 to the good. We're at capacity right now. We weren't there a year and a half ago. I mean, she goes out and shakes the trees real hard.
She does.
And it'll be nice to add a little bit to the reserve to give stability to that home, because it was only 2 years ago we were thinking of having to close it or sell off some property. Or So I meet with Jerry on a regular basis, and it's a pleasure working with her, and she carries out on things which sometimes doesn't happen around here, so I'm very pleased that you complimented her. Thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Domestic Relations, instruct the clerk to advertise for bids for the design-build project known as Lorain County Detention Home Security Fencing Project, published in the Chronicle on August 10th and 17th, mandatory pre-bid at 9 a.m. on August 23rd at site, and bids to be open at 2 p.m. on August 31st in the Commissioners' Public Hearing Room.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Is this like a metal fence? Do you know? Is this security fencing?
I don't know, Commissioner. It's domestic relations. They sent it over.
And this is pre-budgeted, so they had it in there.
Right, it wouldn't be coming out of our...
Oh, Doug, great,
Doug
you're
here?
here.
Hi, Doug.
Just wanted to answer the question. Yes, it is a metal fence. It is security. It was intended to be utilized with recycled materials, so as to mitigate the costs.
Good.
And it has been probably 2 years in the works.
Okay, because my suggestion was either recycled material or materials made in the USA.
Yeah,
So
the
at
intent-
least it's one or the
intention-
other.
The intention was recycled materials in
Okay.
the fencing material.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the engineer, and there's a change to this, it's the alternate bid, actually. Award bid to KMU Trucking and Excavating, Inc., Avon, in the amount of $283,107 for the Mills Road Bridge replacements in Avon and North Ridgeville. Engineer's estimate was $300,000, and the award is contingent upon OPWC. Issue notice to proceed letter honor before August 6th, to be completed honor before November 15th, and authorize county administrator to notify the county auditor.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Carney and Mayor Gillick, welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I did want to add a few words to the approval of the contract for this particular job. We had an opportunity and a desire to post an alternate, and you'll notice my engineer's estimate was $300,000. And the bids came in at about $329,000. However, with the result of the approval of the alternate with the contractor, we have a $46,000 savings, so it's down to $283,000. So we're quite pleased about that, and I'm looking forward to using that type of bridge. It's a cast-in-place, three-sided figure meeting 2 vertical walls, 12-inch, a 15-foot inch deck, and poured in place. And the bottom is not poured, so it's available to be cleaned in the next 50 years without any disturbance to the bridge itself. Better news is I believe that bridge was 20 feet long, and now it's 37 foot long. So I remember this bridge when I was assistant city engineer about 25 years ago. And, it's a good time to repair this year. Contract to be construction will start mid-August, and it'll be done by the end of the year.
Wonderful.
But I wanted to take this opportunity To underline the characteristics of this unique agreement, it's a three-way agreement between the City of Avon, the City of North Ridgeville, and the County Engineer's Office. We applied on behalf of this group together, and we received approval for 75% funding through Ohio Public Works, and we're going to split the 25% equally between the three of us. So I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce Mayor Dave Gillick again, and he may explain the circumstances where we came up with this agreement.
Thank you. I just wanted to be here to show my support. It is a unique opportunity. The engineer, Ken Carney, came to us about 2 years ago. The bridge is in bad shape. The bridge straddles the cities of Avon and North Ridgeville, and he came to us with an opportunity to work together, which is kind of unusual, using Ohio Public Work funds. And if we get the City of Avon, the County Engineer's Office, and the city working together, we could replace it without a significant financial impact on any of us. And we were able to do that. I really appreciate Ken's taking the lead on that and making that happen, and we look forward to the safety improvement, getting that bridge replaced. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Nice regional cooperation. It's what we like to see.
Yep.
It sort of sets us up for tomorrow with NOACA coming to town to talk about the Avon interchange. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's nice to see that. And also, we've got the next one coming up, which is another three-way agreement between the City of Lorain, City of Amherst, and the Engineer's Office. So,
Actually, there's another one coming later on your agenda with the Larinaga Road, where we're working with the county engineer also.
well, it's not here yet, though.
So, no, it's not here yet.
Okay, all right then. Well, we look forward to that, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Approve and enter an engineering service agreement with the City of Lorain and Amherst to use the engineering bond fund to improve Cooper Foster Park Road from State Route 58 to Oberlin Avenue in the amount of $800,000. $650,000 will be the design and $150,000 engineering. City of Amherst will pay 47.56%, and the City of Lorain will pay. Did I say that wrong? City of Amherst will pay 47.56%. City of Lorain will pay 52.44%. This should be the last project using the bond funds. All $5 million has been committed, and authorize county administrator to execute documents on behalf of the board with prosecutor's approval as to form.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Carney?
Thank you, Commissioners. This is another one of those projects, working with, in this particular case, two more cities, the City of Lorain and the City of Amherst. And we've met a considerable length of time with negotiations and approved together my agreement with Amherst, and I have a separate agreement with Lorain. And our office will be constructing this project totally within our framework. And they've agreed to pay their fair share. We're looking forward to getting out our request for professional services immediately. The project itself is well over $5 million. It's between 58 and Oberlin Avenue, which, by the way, is another project we're going to do jointly with Lorain. Another project we will be doing for their benefit, and quite frankly, that's what we do for a living. So the other circumstance, you may recall that this will be 5 lanes from 58 to Williamsburg Drive, and 3 lanes from Williamsburg east to Oberlin Avenue. It's a famous road. It's congestion, it's phenomenal at 5 p.m. every day. Drive by and notice it, I'm sure everybody knows.
It's hard to get off of Route 2 sometimes.
Yes, yes, it even backs up from the left turn movement going south to get onto I-90. It backs up all the way to 254.
Right.
And continues easterly. So with this construction, we look forward to alleviating some of that congestion. It's a high-ranking project because of its condition and its ADT, average daily traffic flow, and it'll be first class. It'll be concrete, curb and gutter, full storm, full sidewalks. It'll be a carbon copy of Colorado Avenue we did in the east side of Lorain.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and if it works like I plan to do as we did with Colorado Avenue, we'll be under deadline, under budget. We'll have enough money to sod it, so we'll guaranteed greenery real soon.
Plant a few trees.
Pardon me?
Plant a few trees.
You'll see enough trees. Trees on Route 57, I believe, when Route 20 gets up there, or when 57 is built.
Got a question for you, Ken. What do they have going north of 254 with all the build-out on Route 58 with the soccer academy and new Lighthouse Village and the new surgical center I saw. Are they doing anything going north, the city of Lorain?
Well, the city of Lorain has finished a intersection improvement to encompass the Coles
Correct,
and
the Tower
Soccer
Boulevard.
Right.
and Tower and north of Tower. I believe the next phase would be probably, in this particular case, a resurfacing of the entire, but I don't see additional lane work as yet.
Okay, no more
If you
widening
notice,
there?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
It needs, Jaeger's not that, doesn't have the ADT, quite frankly, for that, but you may recall years ago, just a few years ago, actually, the intersection of Route 58 and 254 was completed.
Correct.
Well over $2 million, and that's a state project because of two state roads intersecting. The one you're referring to is a state route without another state route intersecting in
So it's just
Missile
City of
Street.
Lorain then?
Maybe some
Okay.
upfront money from Lorain on that, but I'll let you know if I can. I'll be meeting with the city engineer of Lorain tomorrow.
I just travel that road a lot, and it's how it goes back down the 4 lanes and doesn't have a turn lane again until it hits, I believe, Yeager Road or Tower Boulevard.
It could rank higher when we finish Tower Boulevard for Lorain, another one we're doing.
Right.
When it ties into Elyria Avenue. That might be the new east-west corridor coupled with 254 Cooper Foster. And if that's built, that could require additional lane work.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work, Ken.
Thank you.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the prosecutor, authorize employment attorney Subodha Chandra in the amount not to exceed $45,000 to provide representation of Mark R. Stewart in intimate litigation from the city of Lorain regarding Community Reinvestment Area Number 4 in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 305.14a. Authorize Dennis P. Will, Lorain County Prosecutor, to submit an application for said employment to the Court of Common Pleas, and this will be paid from the real estate assessment account.
That's
Mr.
coming out of his
Cordez?
budget? Good.
Yes, sir.
Do we have an update on this? Has the city of Lorain filed suit, or is it just in the threatening procedure right now? Mr. Ennis, maybe?
It's just in the threatening stage at this point,
Okay.
Mr. Kayla.
Everybody's hulkering down and getting ready for a fight. The prosecutor's office has issued some opinions on this, and hopefully we can avoid this and not have to spend some legal fees, but I don't know. I don't, right now, I understand the city has retained counsel also on their side. Counsel's retained here, and now it becomes, I guess, a stare match for a little while. So if I learn anything, I will certainly update you. But my understanding is he needs to be provided legal representation because he's in the course of his responsibilities, correct, counsel?
That's correct. Obviously, there needs to be legal done and work done in preparation of something before it's actually filed. Hopefully, there will be a resolution before then, but we need to start doing the preparatory work.
I love spending dollars.
Well,
on
I don't
issues
know,
like
I don't know
this.
if you really meant you love spending dollars.
I don't love spending dollars just on issues such as this.
I just want to help you there before we see
Yeah,
that.
no,
on
I
the-
didn't mean I like spending dollars. That's not what I meant. Just looking at it, it's $45,000 regardless of its general fund or real estate assessment fund. It's still dollars, but I don't think at this point we have. It's sort of like the issue we had prior where we had to expend dollars for legal on both sides because there's some sort of conflict in representation.
Well, correct. And Ms. Dennis can probably explain that more clearly.
We have a difference of opinion with the auditor's office regarding the legal theory that they wish to pursue. Our office does not think we can ethically pursue the principles that Mr. Stewart wants to, so we are prohibited from being involved in it. Mr. Stewart nevertheless feels very strongly about the position that he has, and he wishes to pursue that. So he's going to obtain his own counsel using his own real estate funds.
I don't know how they could take back what's already been given to these people. I mean, they bought their house knowing that there was a 15-year, 100% tax abatement, and how could he not certify that?
Well, with all due respect, Commissioner, it apparently is going to be pending litigation and very possibly could go forward, so I don't want to start making pronouncements here that could be
So I better be quiet. Are you
impacting
telling
on
me to be
the
quiet?
litigation.
Well, I think I've got an ethics question, Mr. Ennis.
It's
this area that's being contested is an area that my company does all the flooring work for. I do Martin's Run area, all the flooring for Oster Homes, Cahavanian. So I don't know if I can action on this or no action.
Does it, Commissioner, does this affect you?
Well, if it would slow down the home sales based on people having their tax abatement revoked or not offering it anymore, I don't know. That's why I'm asking a question, and I want it out in the public so nobody thinks I'm doing something I shouldn't be. So
It doesn't.
sometimes when it's a private, public thing, I think it's something for discussion here, because I do all the flooring work.
Well,
And I live in a subdivision that has some of this abatement farther down in the newer areas. So
okay.
I don't know.
But you personally aren't.
I don't have anything to do with it. My house was built prior to the year 2000.
And you don't have, do you have a contract in place with any of these people at the current time?
I probably do, yes. I have through Cahavanian Homes. I'm sent all the contracts when they're done for the flooring completion, for the flooring schedule.
So right now you have a contract right now.
Correct, for homes that fall underneath this
Well,
area here. So, I've got a
I
personal
think we
concern
better-
here, so I don't want to do something that ends up,
Right.
Not only
I
that,
think we better wait for Commissioner Blair.
not only.
sorry about that.
No,
but
that's
I
o-
mean, I
that's
had
the
to
time to
bring
do
up
it, Ted.
publicly. Right, that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to ask questions out here.
Commissioner Kayla, not only that, but if you're going to recluse yourself, you're not permitted to further discuss your thinking on that issue.
Okay.
So you have to be quiet.
Well, what it is it's the old.
I'm explaining my
Right.
concerns privately.
Right, I
Not
mean,
my
you-
concerns opinion on the case itself. No
Right.
merits of the case either way, but I don't want to be included in action on this that may be seen as unethical or against the law. That's why I had to bring it up in a public meeting.
Right, now that you've reclused yourself, I think we used to say you can't set the table and then not eat. So, as far as your opinion of whether he's correct or incorrect, or what should happen or not happen with this, you now should be precluded from discussing it any
I'd
further.
like to preclude
I just want to
myself
help
from
you,
any more
that's all.
discussion or voting on the subject, please.
So we're going to hold this till next week? At least at
Yes.
this point? Okay. The judges are here. Do we want to do that first?
Sure.
Before we continue?
Sure.
Okay. Judge Bazinski, Judge Boros, and Judge Sperda. Regards to family court.
Come on down.
Good morning, Judge. Hope you're feeling better from last week.
Thank you, I am.
Judge Barros, Judge Berta, welcome.
May they have a seat? They've asked me to
Sure.
speak for them, and why don't you two have a seat? Yesterday, I called your clerk and asked if we could be put on public comments. She was kind enough to explain the procedure to me. Then later, she called back and said the commissioners would be pleased to hear from us at 10 o'clock, and I thank you for that. You were very helpful. I want you to know that I speak not only for myself, but also for Judge Berta and Judge Boros on this matter, so everybody understands. I would like to discuss with you two resolutions that were passed by the Lorain County Commissioners. One resolution is 04421, and that was passed on June 10th of 2004. The other resolution is 07553, and that was passed last Thursday on August 2nd, 2007. Let's talk first about the earlier one, 04421. The June 10th, 2004. The judges of the Domestic Relations Division, so everybody understands, there are three divisions presently in the Common Pleas Court. There's the General Division. There's the Domestic Relations Division, which comprises Juvenile Court and Domestic Relations Court. And there's the Probate Division. The judges of the Domestic Relations Division in 2004 attempted to implement a family court project. We came before the commissioners, and that was denied. It was denied primarily for one reason, and that's that the probate court was against having that happen. And the commissioners at that time chose not to listen to what Judge Horvath had to say and not grant our request. In early spring of 2004, this issue appeared again. It was coincidental that it came at the same time the General Division was seeking a sixth judge. Discussions were had with the General Division, which went like this. General Division, we will support your 6th judge. Further, we will take all your crim non-support cases. In Lorain County, this is the only county where domestic relations handles felony crim non-support cases. We do that. They originate from our orders. It's probably best that we do that. We've probably handled 600-700 of them so far. We will continue to do that. So we'll take your cases. We'll support your 6th court. You support family court. They said we will do that. So all 5 judges came on board and supported family court. We then went to Judge Horvath and said, Judge Horvath, we'd like to do this. We understand this isn't your favorite topic, but we would like you not to oppose. And he said, I will agree not to oppose if, in fact, you allow me to remain as the administrative judge until my term is over. The 3 of you implement family court. You go forward, but don't do anything up here until my term is over. And I will not oppose. And that was the agreement. Now, these were not backroom agreements. These were agreements that were out front. When we came to the commissioners, we discussed. If you go back and read the minutes, Ms. Upton was kind enough to provide me with the minutes from that day in June in 2004. And it indicates there was this disclosure made at that time. Look, DR is going to take crim non-support. DR is not going to do anything with Judge Horvath's court. All those things were open. They were disclosed. Everybody knew that. Now, the only person that spoke from my review of the minutes is Susan Ward. Susan Ward at that time was the court administrator, and she made the presentation. Prior to that, she had talked to the commissioners individually and submitted a thick packet of information explaining how the family court works. More importantly, why it was beneficial for Lorain County to do that we would have a cost savings, that we were rapidly approaching the time when we would need a 4th judge. And look, we can get by. We don't need to add a 4th judge. We can take the probate judge, have him do what we do, and there's the projected cost savings. And it's mentioned in there some $1.3 million. If you project it out over the next 10-year period, that's what the savings would be by not adding a 4th domestic relations judge, but rather by keeping the probate and juvenile and DR and putting them all together. The resolution passed that day. It's an interesting resolution. It truly is. As I say, it's Resolution 4-421, and it's entitled In the Matter of Supporting, and that's the way it goes. The first whereas says, whereas that the Lorain County Board of Commissioners is desirous of assisting the Lorain County Court of Common Pleas in serving the citizens. So the commissioners want to assist the court. Wonderful. That's what we're all about. We are supposed to work together to assist the citizens. And it says it. That's your resolution. The second paragraph. Whereas the Lorain County Board of Commissioners is desirous of expending taxpayer funds in an efficient and effective manner. That's what those commissioners found that day, that this was an expending of taxpayers' funds in an efficient and effective manner. That was the second thing they found. The third thing, whereas the Board of County Commissioners supports the consolidation of the functions of the Domestic Relations Division and the Probate Division of the Lorain County Court of Common Pleas. Then we go down to the vote. Motion made by Moore, seconded by Vasey to adopt. Ayes all, motion carried. And then it says discussion discussion was held on the above. I'm not sure what that means, but that was the resolution. So this resolution talks about assisting, expending efficiently, and supporting. That's what this resolution talks about. I found it interesting that the Lorain Journal covered that and had an article in the paper the next day. And all three commissioners who presently serve were quoted in the Lorain Journal back in 2004. Everybody had a say. First one was Commissioner Blair. And I'm sorry she's not here today.
She's out ill, Judge.
Well, I can appreciate that. I understand. I can recommend a good hospital. Commissioner Betty Blair voted against the family court in 2000. She said yesterday's proposal is vastly different than what was presented before, and she is ready to back it. Quote, "It's been a topic of discussion for years," Blair said. Quote, "I think that the dollar savings alluded to today, it is incumbent on the commissioners to move forward." I'd like to repeat that again. It is incumbent on the commissioners to move forward. It was a different proposal previously than it is this time. There's a quote from Commissioner Vasey. I'll be pleased to read it if you'd like to hear it. It doesn't apply to the two of you. Then it goes on. The article goes on. Two of the four candidates seeking the two commission seats up for grabs in November definitely favor the plan. That's what the article says. The first one they talked to is Rita Canfield. Doesn't apply here. Next, they have Commissioner Kalo. Commissioner Kalo says as follows, "I would probably defer to the judges," said Ted Kalo, the Democrat running for Moore's seat. "It's their court. I would probably defer to the judges. It's their court." I'm sure that was an accurate quote.
Correct, without a doubt.
Ms. Kokoski was quoted also the next day after this passed in June. Lori Kokoski, the Democrat who defeated Vasey in the primary, said she would have to research the issue before she could comment. I understand it. So now we have a resolution. Now what do we do with that? Well, we find somebody to sponsor. Senator Armbruster agreed to sponsor, and that's where it started. It started in the Senate. We wanted to kind of get the ducks in a row on this. We were told that any legislation dealing with the judiciary had great hope of passing if, in fact, the Chief Justice would buy in. That most legislatures defer to the Chief Justice on the judiciary, since he is the head man. And if the judge approves it, they will look for that. If he doesn't approve it, they are not real excited about going against the Chief Justice. So we went to visit with the Chief Justice and gave him a copy of the commissioner's resolution, that everybody was in favor of it, and all those sorts of things. And the Chief Justice on March 25th, 2005, took all the time from June to March. On March 25th, Chief Justice writes a letter, and I have the whole letter. I believe I have copies if anybody would like to have it. I believe, Commissioner Kalo, you have it already. Here's the recommendation from the Chief Justice. Based on a review of the proposal, an examination of the caseload statistics, application of Supreme Court objective criteria, and your interest in creating a more effective court, it appears this reconfiguration is justified and will prove to be beneficial. Justified, beneficial. Furthermore, I commend Lorain County officials for demonstrating a desire to better serve the families of the county. Lorain County officials, that's the commissioners, that's the ones that passed this. The Chief Justice says, I commend Lorain County officials for demonstrating a desire to better serve the families of the county. And I think everybody understands that that's what family court does. It better serves the families of Lorain County. As you have recognized, many of the matters decided in these divisions arise from family conflicts or circumstances that are best resolved with coordinated court services. Therefore, I support the reconfiguration of the divisions pending the support of all local officials. We had it. Everybody was there. Nobody was against it. Last sentence, the changes will help the court maintain efficient and effective management of your dockets. This letter, by the way, was addressed to the three then Domestic Relations Division judges. It was copied to Senator Armbruster, Representative Kazura, Representative Martin, and Representative Walcher. Last sentence, last paragraph. Chief Justice says, once again, I commend you for your efforts to improve the services provided to the people of Lorain County. Please contact me or Doug Stevens, Director of Judicial and Court Services, if we can be of further assistance. Sincerely, Thomas J. Moore. Got this. We then go through hearings. I did not handle the Senate hearing. Judge Lilly did. I was told by her at that time that nobody came to oppose in the Senate. I did, in fact, handle the House hearing before Chairman Wolanowski. I was there for that. Prior to going there, and I'm not sure how this happened, and so I'm being very careful about how it happened, Judge Horvath and I had a discussion prior to my going to Columbus. The date of that hearing in Columbus was June 16th. We then executed documents so everybody would understand. The three judges at that time in the Domestic Relations Court and Judge Horvath executed a journal entry which said, Judge Horvath's going to be the administrative judge, and that will continue till his term ends on February 9th, 2009. And we agreed to that. And we have held to that. We have made the bargain. We've stayed with that bargain. He, in turn, gave us a letter. And I have copies of the letter for you if you'd like to have it. I think Commissioner Kalo has it already. And here's Judge Horvath's letter. And this was written June 14th, 2 days before I went to Columbus. And his letter says, Dear Judges Basinski, Lilly, and Boros, I have reviewed the revisions to Senate Bill 145 as set forth in amended Senate Bill 145. That's the bill that made this work. And I have also reviewed the selection of the administrative judge for the probate court for January 2006 to February 8th. That's the journal entry I just told you about, the agreement we had made. Upon consideration, I have no objection to either Senate Bill 145 as amended, and that's the bill that passed. I have no objection, or the executed copy of the rule electing me administrative judge. Judge Horvath had no objection. Now, one of the newspapers, I don't know who, I'm sure has misquoted Judge Horvath as saying, hey, I'm not really in favor of that. I don't believe that. I think that Judge Horvath is an honest man. If Judge Horvath told me he was not opposed, which he did, he didn't need to sign a letter for me. As I say, I'm a little unclear whether he wanted the journal entry or whatever, but we have the letter. So we know how Judge Horvath felt. He had no objection to this bill. And hence, I went down to Columbus. First time I've ever testified in front of the House. It was an interesting thing. I think I was there 7 o'clock for a 9 o'clock hearing. I did not want to be late. You must offer all of your testimony before. You have to have like 35 copies of it. I had all that ready. The bailiff and I drove down. And we were ready. And we went through the hearing. 3 people testified. 3 people testified. I testified. The Legislative Counsel from the Supreme Court testified, indicating that the Supreme Court was in favor of this and heartily recommended the passage. I have a copy of her testimony if you'd like to see that. And Judge Janis. Judge Janis came to support the 6th judge for the General Division. And he, as I had said during my testimony, I support the 6th judge per my agreement, our agreement. He said at that time, the General Division judges support. And now we have legislation. Subsequently in the fall it passed, and we have a new law that takes effect took effect as of the start of 2006. The three of us have not exercised any family court jurisdiction other than Judge Horvath has allowed us to continue to hear adoption cases on cases where we take permanent custody. If we take a child away from parents and it's placed with Lorain County Children's Services, it would be before that the probate judge, who hadn't heard anything, hears the adoption. We believe it's the judges who actually hear the contested permanent custody. They know that child better than anybody, and we should hear the adoption. If you really want to know, adoptions are fun. People come with balloons and flowers, and people are happy, and there's crying, and I get my picture taken, and adoptions are fun. The bailiff I worked with would like to do adoptions all the time. And Judge Horvath has allowed us to do that. Now, here's what's happened. The passage of that bill, that action throughout, starting here and everywhere else, it was all deliberate. We moved very slowly, took our time, deliberate, thoughtful. We considered everything, we talked about everything, and notice to everybody, everybody knew what was happening. You want to know when those hearings are in Columbus? It's posted. Go down and appear. If you're against it, be against it. One other thing you ought to know, when the three groups of judges agreed that we were going to come see the commissioners, we went to the Bar Association. The Bar Association supported 6-judge family court. Again, nobody speaking against it. See, we touched every base. I know of no one throughout this entire process who spoke against it. That's 04421, June 10th, 2004. Let's talk briefly about 07553, August 2nd, 2007. I am told that a comment was made last week that you should not be surprised, excuse me, you should not be surprised this action is being taken. It's been on the table for 90 days. I'm not sure who said that or if that's accurate. I'm sorry.
That was me when we first started discussions with Doug Messer about
Okay.
the cost. We talked about
Well-
months, because I've had discussions with you.
Yes, and I'll tell you exactly, Commissioner, when we had those discussions, because I have it locked down. This came out of a discussion that came in late June at a judges' meeting with the three of us. And I asked Mr. Messer, I knew he and Mr. Luby, the administrator of the General Division Court, were meeting with the commissioners regarding perhaps some changes to the building.
The build-up, correct?
Yes.
The build-up. Yep.
And I knew that was happening, and I said to Doug at that meeting, what's happening on the buildup? And he said, there's legislation. And I said, what legislation? This was June. Now, Mr. Messer's here. If you had a meeting with him before that, I would be surprised regarding this, but first time I heard about it was then. What's the legislation? Commissioner Kalo wants legislation passed to dump the family court. What?
I don't think that's quite accurate.
Okay, to rescind the family court, something like
No, I
that.
think the discussion was discussing the build-up cost and the new staffing on what it was going to cost general fund dollars with our shortfall. Because if
Okay.
you go back to the '04 resolutions, that board at that time had about a $25 million carryover, and we're also talking about revoking 1/4% of our sales tax as a rollback that year, not looking forward at what our costs were going to be. The general fund payment on the new Justice Center at $1.8 million a year, which we've done for 3 years now. We're just taking dollars out, and the loss of local government. I don't think they were quite looking at that, and it wasn't a dollars issue when this was going through. In '04, the county was flush. They were putting $25 million down on a building, and actually talking about a rollback of sales tax at that point. If you remember that back in '04.
Commissioner, I remember when we had to skimp and I had to close part of the detention home, so I remember all those days.
Okay, you've got history. That's what you're backing us up on, Judge. I'm not questioning that, and my comment's no different than the editorial. It's the judge's court, let them run it. Our problem being is we have budgetary authority.
I'll address that
Yeah,
with you.
okay, go ahead.
I promise you I will address the
Okay.
budgetary
All
concerns.
right, thank you.
I was told by the judges this is a done deal, that Representative Kazura is going to introduce legislation. So wait a second, has he talked to you? No. Judge Berta, has he talked to you? No. And he certainly hadn't talked to me. Now, why would a representative introduce legislation and not talk to the three people that are mostly affected? Now, I don't know who talked to Representative Kazura and asked him to introduce legislation. I don't know that. He has not told me. I called Representative Kazura. I called him on the 27th, finally got through. He is difficult to reach. I finally got to him on the, although I have figured out when people don't want to return my calls, I call every day. And eventually they get tired of hearing from me every day, and they call me back. So that's the way I get around that. And that's what I did with, and about 10 days later, he called me back. And I said, Joseph, what's happening here? What do you mean? Well, I've been thinking about this, and I don't think it's a good idea. Wait a second. What's not a good idea, Joe? Well, I'm not really sure. Joe, you voted for this the first time through. What has changed? Well, nothing's changed. Then why would you want to change? Now, from what you've said, apparently you did not contact Representative Kazura and seek him to do this. So somebody out there is contacting Representative Kazura to get him to change this. And I don't know who that is. Anyway, I had a long discussion with Representative Kazura. I said, when you voted for it, did you understand it? Oh, yes. What's changed? Nothing. Why do you want to do this? Well, I've been thinking about it. Now, I'm sure you won't believe this, but I read in the paper again that apparently Representative Kazura attempted to attach, as a writer, to the budget bill, legislation to rescind the family court. I was astounded by that. How one legislator can contradict what took a year and a half to make work by simply attaching it to a budget bill. Now, it came out that he could not get people to back that, and he pulled it. I want to cover myself, so I write a long letter to Joe Kazura confirming our telephone conversation of that day. I want to make sure we have no mistakes. And I went through all these things, how long it had taken us to make this happen, and all those sorts of things. And the end, again, Commissioner Kalo has the letter. I have copies if anybody would like to have them. My last paragraph to him was as follows. I was pleased to hear you conclude our telephone conversation by saying that there is nothing in the offing presently. He told me he had nothing pending. So there's nothing in the offing presently. Further, that you would study this matter through the summer. That's what Mr. Kazura told me he would do, Representative Kazura. And finally, before you took any action, that you would confer with the three family court judges, Berta, Boros, and myself. I appreciate that consideration. Again, my concern. I am unable to discern who is objecting to the present situation. No one objected previously, and they didn't. And I am at a loss to understand who is objecting at this time. Now, Representative Kazura has not written back to me. He has not called me. He has not done anything to contradict this letter. So I presume this is our understanding, and before he does something, he will certainly contact me, or Judge Boros, or Judge Berta. The next time I believe we had interaction with the commissioners regarding this, and please correct me, was at a Budget Commission hearing. You asked where we are this year in light of the cuts that you gave to us, what we were going to need, and we told you that, and you granted one half of that, and I thank you for that. I was not present. Judge Berta and Judge Boros were. At that time, a lot of concern was evidenced regarding family court. That's the first open kind of everybody's involved kind of concern. And I believe from somewhere a figure of $750,000 came. I don't know where. I think maybe somebody asked the auditor for that.
I think that was when I was asking what
Okay.
the cost was going to take, and it was about $750,000
Okay,
in salaries. That was that part, not the build-out part. That was the salaries.
Oh, I understand.
That was your offices, DR Court, Juvenile, Probate. That was the prosecutor's office, and I believe the clerk of courts also. It's in my pile. I keep putting myself together too, Judge.
I understand. So we were astounded by that figure, and I believe soon thereafter, and Mr. Messer's here, he submitted something to you saying, hey, it's $389,000 or something like that. I don't know where you got that. And as I said, I will address the financial thing.
Okay.
And I don't recall any other contact after that meeting and after Mr. Messer gave you that $389,000. I don't know of that. Perhaps there was. Last Thursday, a young lady who's usually here, our finance officer, Deb Tansey, was here. Was reading your agenda. She got there early last Thursday morning and ran up your agenda, which is on the computer, and saw that the family court was on the agenda. She promptly called my secretary and said, why didn't you tell me this was going to be? And my secretary said, nobody has called me. We talked to everybody else, and nobody else was called. We didn't know. And apparently, Commissioner Kokoski did not know that it was going to be on the agenda, but it was. And it was kind of, when we go through everything, we're going to pay the bills, we're going to do this, now we're going to take the family court. Started through, and Mr. Messer, at least he tells me, came up and spoke about it. In fact, told you I was ill, and you said, that's fine, we're going forward anyway. Not fine that I was ill, but we're sorry he's ill, we hope he gets better, but we're going to do this today. And you did. Now, you did that resolution without talking to the Bar Association that I'm aware of, or maybe you did. You did the resolution without talking to the General Division, or maybe you did. You did the resolution without talking to the probate judge, or maybe you did. And I can attest that you did not talk to any of the three of us, and you went ahead with the resolution that day. And it's an interesting resolution. It's kind of short. Again, Ms. Upton was very kind, and she provided us with a copy of that. Much shorter. Much shorter. And remember how the other one talked about assisting the court? You won't find assisting the court anywhere in this resolution. It's not there. Remember how your previous resolution talked about expending taxpayer funds in an efficient and effective manner? That's not in this one. It's not here. Do you remember how this said supports the consolidation? The commissioners support the court? None of that's here. None of that's in this resolution. I find that interesting. I find that interesting. May I suggest that that resolution does none of those things. It doesn't assist. It doesn't support. And it certainly doesn't expend taxpayer funds in an efficient and effective manner. You know, I've been trying to figure out why we're doing this. How did we get to last Thursday? I can only come up with three reasons. One, you've become disenchanted with the family court in some way. Nobody has said that. Nobody has said that. If you want, I can spend the rest of the day telling you why family courts work. But nobody said that, and I don't think that's necessary to defend that. But as I say, I can. Each year we add one. There are not a whole lot. I mean, This is right out at the front. This is where we should be. As the chief says, it's the efficient and effective way to use the judiciary, and we want to do that. I want to clear up something. Someone is saying the probate court is not broken. Why fix it? No one, and certainly not I, have ever felt that the probate court is broken. I have no quarrel with the way Judge Horvath runs his court. None. We're not trying to fix. We're trying to make it better. We're trying to make it more effective. We're trying to make what we do more effective. We're not trying to fix probate court. So the one reason is you don't like family court. That's one. Two, finances. And we'll talk about that. And the third is that there's something else out there. And Commissioner Kalo, you kind of confirmed that when you say that somebody else has gone to, obviously, Representative Kazura and wants this stopped. Somebody else, and it's not you. If it were you, I would understand his actions, but somebody else. So there's something else out there, and I'm unaware of what that is. Somebody knows what that is. Let's talk about family court briefly. You know, nothing has changed since we did that. Since we've implemented, as I say, I don't think anybody's upset with the little bit we've done in family court. Most of it's been adoptions. I've handled some matters where Judge Horvath had a conflict, and he asked me to do that. But short of that, we haven't done a whole lot. So I don't think we've done anything in any way to indicate that we can't handle what's there. You know, you're going to elect somebody new to do that job, and he's never been probate judge before either. So whoever's going in there is going to be on a learning curve, and we at least wear black dresses to work every day, so we can make that work.
I'm sure Judge Boros looks better in her dress than you do.
Much more so.
Judge Berta, you're kind of...
But he's younger than I.
Yeah.
Here's what we're talking to do, and these figures are approximate. I can't get them for last year because the Supreme Court hadn't released them yet, but briefly, you're talking about 3 judges that each have about 4,400 cases. That's DR and juvenile. DR, quite honestly, is pretty much leveling off, thank goodness. Unfortunately, as you recall, the prosecutor, when he was here on the sales tax, he told you that the juvenile docket has gone crazy. And as best we can, it continues to go crazy. So we have 4,400 cases, roughly, apiece. And if you take that and times it by 3, that's 13,200 cases. Okay? Judge Horvath has about 2,200. You add 2,200 plus the 13,200 and you get a figure, and we divide that down, and we each end up with about 3,800 cases. Oh, you're going to work easier. No, we process cases quicker. If you've been involved in litigation, you know the one thing you want is for it to go quickly. You want it. You owe that to families, that you handle their matters quickly and they move on with their lives. And you do that. I don't want to go through the reasons. I've told you about the adoptions. I had one where you have a guardianship and you have a custody. Judge Horvath's got a guardianship and probate. We've got a custody in our, which prevails? Which, you sort that out. You got one judge handling it. It's fine. I had a juvenile, a delinquency case. She had a trust fund up there. How do we handle that? He said, you handle the trust fund. And because we have these cases that interact, that work together. As I indicated earlier, the number of family courts is increasing. I found it in Champaign County this year, new family court. There are 5 courts in Lorain County where there's only one judge. 5 courts in the state, I'm sorry, where there's only one judge. He does everything. He does probate, he does general, he does DR, he does juvenile.
It's like 5. Claremont then, right?
Yes.
One of the largest county I could find through the study you gave me was Claremont County Judge Boris.
Yes.
Okay.
There are 5 of those. Morrow County, which is one of those, is now adding a new judge. Well, you'd think they'd divide it up. They would go, one of them take juvenile probate, one of them take DR general. Wrong. They kept it where everybody does everything, keeping the family court. They found that to be best, and that's the trend.
Excuse me, Judge, just to ask you a question because it all ties together. I spoke to the Morrow County Commissioners about a month ago, and they were having major financial issues there with their jail about shutting it down or closing a portion because we were talking about transporting prisoners there. So I don't know how they balance their budget.
I have no idea.
Okay, all right, just questions because I talked to a lot of commissioners around the state. And that was.
I got this information from the Doug Stevens. Remember that fellow, the Chief Justice said, if you got a problem, call Doug Stevens?
Yes, I remember the name.
Okay. By the way, on Doug Stevens, I called Doug yesterday. I said, Doug, has the chief changed his position? He said, one of the newspaper reporters called me about that, and I asked the chief, Chief, you changed your position? The Chief Justice said, I stand on my letter. The Chief Justice stands on his letter. That's the letter he gave us back in 2005. He still thinks this is the most efficient and effective way to handle things for the citizens of Lorain County. I guess one of the reasons that concern me, and one of the reasons I'm here, one of the most important, one of the commissioners said, I don't know who it was, it's okay, if the sales tax passes, we'll add a fourth judge, and then you won't have to worry. I don't know who said that. Doesn't make any difference who said that.
There was, I think I said something to that degree. I said maybe the Supreme Court will authorize a fourth domestic relations juvenile judge if it's deemed needed. That's what my comments when I said it, Judge.
You understand it starts here?
Yeah, I understand.
Commissioners have to start that, not Supreme Court. But we can certainly justify numbers with the Supreme Court if that's what you're looking for. But see, that's my point, Commissioner. That's the more expensive way to do it. We are trying to save Lorain County money, and the way to do that is to put the probate court with the family court. What is the one single most important factor in family courts, why they work or not work? It has nothing to do with philosophy or psychology or people. It's location. It's location. For example, you're never going to get a family court in Cleveland, Ohio, because the juvenile court is out on Carnegie and 21st Street, the general division is downtown, the probate court is somewhere else. The locations are scattered all over the place. And that's the way it is usually. The one single most important factor is location. And that's why Lorain County has its own need. Not only are we all in the same building, last fall, this spring, you rebuilt the courtroom next to mine, next to Judge Boros's, for that judge to come in and be right there. See, if you add a fourth judge, if you do that, then you're going to have to get another courtroom. You're going to have to build another courtroom. And that savings that the commissioners back in 04 voted on, it ain't going to be there. It ain't going to be there. This is more expensive doing it that way, and this is what we're trying to do. Let's talk funding. You know, this year, we have supplemented our budget to the tune of $3 to $4 million. No other court you have does it. No other division that you have does that. How do we do that? We have people who go out and beat the bulrushes to get that money. Money doesn't come from Lorain County. It comes from the feds, comes from the state of Ohio. We supplement our budget to the tune of $3 or $4 million. We can take some of that money, we believe, and offset. We can negotiate these costs. I think you will find that there are governmental agencies that would be willing to assist in the payment of some of these costs, to pick up the costs of a prosecutor and those kinds of things. Agencies that we work with that would be willing to do that, to reduce those costs. And further, obviously the buildup does not have to be done now. We can work through that. You move that new judge down to between Judge Boros and I and on Judge Berta's floor. You allow General Division to have Judge Horvat's courtroom on 6, and you leave it there until we can afford to do this. County government runs in cycles. Funding runs in cycles. It always does, and it will do. And there will be better times. We know that. We just have to wait through them, that's all. Then we can ratchet it up. We can start small and go from there. What you're doing is you're throwing it all out. You're chucking it all. And you're saying, can't do it. It takes a year and a half to get this done. We'd lose too much time. Let's talk about something else. Remember I said 3 reasons. You don't like family court, money, something else. As I said earlier, I'm very much concerned about something else. I don't know what something else is. Somebody's going to find out what something else is. I guess maybe somebody ought to go down and ask Representative Kurzura, what's this all about? He wouldn't tell me. I don't know if there's somebody out there that wants this job only as a probate court. I don't know why you would want to do that and disrupt. That's certainly very selfish. But somebody is pushing this. There was obviously some urgency, although it's my understanding from looking at the calendar, legislature does not convene until early September. But there was some reason, some necessity to do that on August the 2nd. I'm sure, and I'm not questioning that. That's fine. Why am I here this morning? I want you to reconsider what you did. I want you to look at it and vote again. And vote to rescind what you rescinded. That's what you got to do. Judge Boros or Judge Berta, one of them mentioned that at finance line you indicated that you were aware Lorain County Domestic Relations Court was the cutting edge in the state. And it really is. A lot of people in that court worked very hard to make that happen. We just had a nice thing happen in July. A young fellow by the name of Hunter Hurst. He came from the National Association of Juvenile Family Court Judges. He came to Ohio and said, the National Association is looking for a court in Ohio that's a family court, that works like one, that acts like one, and is one, and doing it good. And Supreme Court Chief Justice said, go up to Lorain County. And Hunter Hurst spent 2 or 3 days with us, going through everything, talking about everything. It wasn't interesting. I don't know, should we call Hunter Hurst and say stop the presses on this? It isn't going to work? I hope not. Lorain County's kind of different too in that we have something in Lorain County called ISP. You don't even know about it. We meet the 4th Friday. Lots of people. Children's Services, Mental Health, MRDD, 3 judges, ADATIS. We meet and we work on children. It's the only one of those in the state of Ohio. We work together on children. We collaborate. We all dump tons of money in this, and we make it work. That's cutting edge. It's the only one in the state of Ohio. It's interesting now. Supreme Court heard about that we collaborate here. If you come to Columbus the 1st and 2nd of May, you will find a summit on juvenile justice that's going to do. They want to know how the Lorain County model works, and why can't we do it throughout the state? That's where we are. We were one of the first to ever have the seminar for separating parents. Started in 1993. Now, if you're getting a divorce or dissolution in Lorain County, you come and spend 2 hours with me. You have a course, and we tell you about how divorce affects children, and that you, mother and father, don't realize how divorce affects your children. One of the first. We are the very first to have the seminar for people who are never married. People that come out of juvenile court that have children together and never married. Now we have a course for them. First one. Supreme Court funded it when they named us a pilot. They paid for that. We went to Lorain County Community College and made that work. One of the very few that has both a family drug court and a juvenile drug court. Judge Boros runs both of those. Judge Boros spends at least a couple days a month going to some other court in the state and explaining to them how it works, and this is what you have to do to make it work. And that's all hers.
We need a tape change.
She runs all that. I can go into anything else. Everything else we have. One of the few courts in the state. Boys detention home. Girls detention home. Boys group home. Girls group home. Short safe facility. School for all these children. Right there. Very few courts have that. We have it all. We've been able to make it work. Lots of firsts. Lots of firsts for this court. We thought we were going to be the first county of our size to be a family court. Would have been very important. And everybody's kind of watching. How's it going to work in a bigger court? And we were going to show them how it was going to work. Please, please do not let Lorain County be the first county to go from a family court back to the separate divisions. Please don't let that happen. I don't want to be first there. I would ask that you reconsider your vote. If you need additional information, we would be pleased to sit down and negotiate with you on the cost, if that's what the question is. If it's something else, then we don't know what that is, and we'd like to address that also. I thank you for the time. Didn't think it'd go this long. I apologize for that. Thank you.
Okay, don't leave, Judge.
Thank you.
Commissioner Krause, give any questions, because I have a bunch.
Well, last week when this came before us, I wasn't sure whether it was a good idea to rescind it or not rescind it. I did want you to have an opportunity to state your case, which you did so very eloquently today. To me, it's obvious that the family court is a good idea. Back in 2004, I wasn't really paying that close of attention as to what it was all about, but now that I am part of this, I agree with you that we need to continue the family court. I don't know if Ted would second a motion to rescind last week's resolution, but I would be willing to ask our clerk to put on the agenda and have a copy of this meeting available for Commissioner Blair so she can hear what you had to say today, and hopefully maybe if we can't do it this week, next week possibly rescind that former resolution.
Thank you.
Judge, so we can have some dialogue back. That was very good, by the way. I'm glad you came up.
Thank you.
I wish some of these issues were brought up when we were talking about our sales tax hearings earlier in the year.
Oh,
about
wait,
increased costs. Go ahead.
time.
Go ahead.
Time. You're looking at the one judge that came and spoke at sales tax.
I know you did.
Do you recall that?
Yes, I do,
The
Judge.
only one
I
that
understand
came
it.
and spoke.
You did a great job.
One of 6 judges. I support sales tax. You understand
Let
that.
me finish where I was going, Judge.
Okay.
Okay? I didn't interrupt you. I've got questions.
I apologize. Thank you.
Okay. And we've always had a good relationship. We can talk to each other, so that's why I'm
Yes, sir.
going back to this. This was all coming. We knew our budget shortfalls. The county commissioner's job is the budget per Ohio Revised Code. That is our first mainstay, is providing and balancing a budget by the state of Ohio. And these issues were done in '04, and I don't think, since I've been here in my common stance, I've never interrupted in your court when you've wanted something other than budget issues. I think we've agreed, we've given all the match money for the such grants that you've needed over the years. There's never been a concern about how you run your court. You are the admin judge, or you're the senior judge in domestic relations.
We share admin.
Okay,
Goes
but you're
to-
the senior judge.
Yes,
You have
I
the most
understand.
history.
I'm the oldest.
Like Commissioner Blair does here at the
Yes,
Board
sir.
of Commissioners. Lori and I are new here. And as what was happening in 2004 with the county budget and where they sat dollars-wise, the year prior they had taken $25 million and put it on a justice center. The county was apparently flush with cash. It was no big deal, because it was going to save money long-term, not short-term. It's going to save $1.3 million or $1.7 million, I've read in the paper, over 10 years, a couple $100,000 a year by combining the courts, correct?
Oh, yes.
That was the meaning was.
Yes.
Okay, so as we've gotten into this, and Commissioner Pikowski and myself have found, as we've gotten into it with shrinking revenues and costs that were never incurred prior to the 2005 board commencing, such as the Justice Center payment at $1.8 million a year coming out of general fund, the $3.5 million loss of local government funds that we're not recouping at all. I think we're getting $65,000 more this year because of what Governor Strickland's done. The cost being between what the court would need to operate with magistrates and such, which is that $380,000 figure I believe Mr. Messer gave us originally. Doug, 380 roughly. And also, as we were talking through this, what the needs of the other departments were, and when it was brought up through the fiscal hearings and the sales tax hearings, looking forward, what are we going to need to operate, along with the sheriff's department, road patrols, jail issues, was based on a family court going forward, and the change would be additional staff needed in the prosecutor's office, which was all brought to us. I believe George Corey presented us with some numbers, what they would need to operate. And I don't know if that was done out here or an admin session or whatever. Been a lot of talk about the budget all year, and I think everybody's pretty well aware. I watch the dollars pretty closely here in government. I don't like to spend things that we can't afford to do. I was sort of caught off guard too when I saw Representative Kazura's comments that he had something talking about in mid-June, because your letter goes back to July 2nd with Representative Kazura. And I got all the resumes. I mean, we had a lot of dialogue. You and I back and forth, and Doug has gotten me a lot of things, and I've tried to tear apart this War and Peace epic you've given me about all the studies back to '99, and I've tried to compare the counties and such. And my concern is not as how the court runs; it's more the cost of running the court. There was actually in June from Mark Stewart, when there was concerns about estimates and cost. Mark Stewart figured over $1 million. Doug Messer said it would be less than that with the probate and such. And just asking where we're spending all our dollars. And I've done this with all the departments, where our additional costs are going to be. Road patrols at $71,000 per deputy for a road patrol officer, plus we have the vehicle, and Sheriff's Committee was kind enough this year to only need 4 vehicles instead of the 8 they normally get. I mean, everybody's sort of adjusting. You've adjusted your budget, knocked it down over $100,000 in expenses. We returned half of that. Didn't you need 426 originally was the budget cut, and you figure you do it with 302 this year, Doug?
It was what,
It was
417 is what was cut, and 301 is what we requested.
Okay, all right, so you cut back and done everything we've asked. And to maintain county services at this point,